romance. So thank you so much for joining me today. I'm going to be going over 5 things to consider when naming guardians for your minor children. So the first thing is that you want to make sure that when you're looking at identifying guardians for your minor children, you want to choose someone or a couple that shares the same parenting style as you, right? They have the same values, the same religious beliefs. They will provide the best love, education, and support for your kids. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, how well do the guardians actually know your kids? This is a really big thing to consider. Again, we don't like thinking about this. I know it's hard. It's not something that we want to think about ever not being there for our kids, but it's important. And being able to identify, is it a family member, or is it, close friends, somebody that the kids grew up with? And so it's identifying that relationship, because the kids need to be comfortable. And, if you have somebody, well, it's a second cousin, the kids have never met them, are the kids going to be comfortable with somebody that they've never met, or maybe more comfortable with somebody that they grew up with? So definitely something to take into consideration. Number three, where do the potential guardians live? If it's depending on the age of the children is also a factor. If they're younger kids, if the guardians live in a different state or a different country, which we see happen often, it's important to take into consideration where they live, because if maybe they're older and the kids are older, and they are in high school, and if the guardians lived across the country, then if something happened, then it would be uprooting the kids from their home at that point while they're in high school, while they're older, and then moving them cross country. And it may not be a really good idea for that. And this is one thing to really take into consideration when it comes to the age of the kids and the location of where the guardians would be. Okay, the next thing, number four, how old are the potential guardians? I see this all the time with clients when they are looking at nominating guardians and they want to choose their parents. And so we'll kind of talk through how old their kids are right now. If they're really young, they're babies, they're going to be toddlers soon, and their parents are getting up there in age, then their concern is, well, are my parents even going to be able to take care of my kids when they get to this stage in their life? And so taking into account the age of who you want to be guardians is, are they going to be able to, that if something happened, to step in and be able to keep up with the kids? That's a really kind of big factor there. When you're thinking of guardianship, especially if you have young kids, don't think of it for the next 18 years. You can change guardianship stuff at any point. So think about it now within the next 5, maybe 10 years, and kind of just really kind of narrow it down to that. Okay, the last thing, number five. How good are the potential guardians with money? I don't want this to be the reason you don't choose someone, that if they're not good with money, but it's important to just take that into consideration, because there are planning tools that we can use that would say that they wouldn't be in charge of money, they would just be in charge of the kids. But it's important to really understand, is it somebody that you would want to be in charge of the money as well as guardianship of the kids, or only guardianship of the kids and not in charge of the money? We can, again, put those plans in place. Okay, I hope this helps you, give you an idea that if you don't have guardians nominated for your minor kids, this is something legally you should do, right? You should have that in place. So if you need help, we can help. Also, I have this planning guide for parents that goes through all of the different things to consider. It talks about all the guardianship. It went over a few of the things that I talked about. So make sure to download this free guide to get you started and really just thinking about this process and who to